Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's day is going well. Let me get signed into the chat. We'll get going. I am Dark Hole Algo, and thank you for joining me on another Watch This Building session. Today is Friday, February 11th, 2022. And the market went crazy. It did. We've got a lot of news to get through, and we need to get an update on our futures charts, right? Oh man, I was pretty dang close on that. Yeah, we're gonna update our futures charts and see what's going on. We're gonna find some plays for the day, and it is Lotto Friday. So typically on Lotto Fridays, I do not trade options just because I've been burned too many times, to be honest with you. I like to look for equity trades on Fridays, finding a stock that's at a good support level, that's ready to make a move to the upside, that's backed by some good solid technical analysis and maybe even some divergence from the flow index, right? Done pretty well on that in the last couple weeks. We've traded SoFi, we've traded Riot, we've traded, I don't think we've traded Lucid, but I think Lucid might make my list. So if you have any stocks that you want to trade equities in, right, which is definitely different than trading options, let me know, and we'll start a little watch list. Oh yeah, Lucid's going to be a pretty good trade today. Gonna be pretty good trade today if we can. I should have got in at 27.50. All right, been up 50 cents, 50 bucks. All right, so IWM again. Yep, I got you with IWM. All right, we do have some news to get through. So a few earnings reports, and I think that's about it. Oh man. Wow, Zendesk confirmed that its board of directors received, thoroughly reviewed, and rejected an unsolicited, non-binding proposal from a consortium of private equity firms to acquire all of Zendesk's outstanding shares in an all-cash transaction valued at $127 and $132 a share. Basically, oh, that's so gorgeous, right? So people didn't check this news out thoroughly, right? Unless, no, well, yeah, they didn't have earnings. They had earnings. They missed on EPS better than on revenue. So basically, this is saying that a company came in and said, "Hey, we want to buy all of the float at 132 a share because Zendesk, we believe, was going to go higher." Yeah, you might want to keep an eye on that one. Okay. Upwork, which is another one of our favorite ones, just to tool around with, right? Revenues at 136 versus 132, and those are in million. Adjusted EBITDA at negative 3.3 billion versus negative 2.74 billion. So more guides. One quarter revenue at 131 million versus 139, or 139 to 141 million versus 139, and revenues 620 to 630 million. Now what do we have here? So, well, everything sold off. It kind of recovered. Couldn't take over its 5,200. I'd stay away from it for a little bit. Y'all remember Frog? Frog was a fun one to trade. Like I said, I'd stay away from this one as well. It just doesn't look the greatest. HubSpot. All right, here we go. Q4 EPS at 58 cents versus 53. Q4 revenues at 369 million versus 357, and their professional services and other revenue is up 38% year over year. Look what they did. They hit that 50-day. Boom. What happens after the 50-day? They got the 200-day at 633. They got to get through 600 to 633. I would let this form a cup and handle, so maybe a pullback, right? Slight pullback to the weekly bottom for our top daily top support, right? Back, and then make its move back up. Making its move back up. Yeah, I like it. All right, do Cloudflare, which is net. We trade Cloudflare a lot. My shoulders are killing me today. Unfortunately, we had the 50-200 death cross down, and we're kind of consolidating. We do have stack positive moving averages. We are double green on our 4-hour time frame. Beat on earnings. Just bull flag needs to form here to form this little cup and handle. If it can close above 125, I would look at playing Cloudflare again, maybe 130, 145. But this 50-day crossover right here, not happy. I want the 50 above the 200, then 1321.34. Okay. All right, in media, telecom, Eventbrite, live one. All right, industrial materials, Valet. Y'all remember we play this a lot. Valet said sales of iron ore and iron ore pellets jumped in Q4 from Q3 as the company turned to inventories to meet demand. While iron ore production declined in the same period, iron ore output fell 7.8%. I don't think the stock's ever been above $20 ever. But you can definitely trade it from 13 to 18. That would have been a good equity trade. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. Why it's over its 200, it's above the 4-hour. We got 1321.34. I mean, we're pretty stacked over here. Just know that there's not a ton of upside potential. Maybe $1.50 on a good day. So that could be a fun one to trade. Okay, in healthcare, Invax is in the news again. Said its vaccine was 80% effective in a late-stage trial testing it in teens, aged 12 to 17. It expects to submit application to global regulators for vaccines used in adolescents during Q1. Invax. Up and down and up and down and up and down. Chilling weekly bottom on the break of the so basically above. You know, there's a move there. I see you. Well, there's a little bit of a move setting up. Definitely kind of wedge being formed on the breakout of the wedge. Play the 4-hour bottom, so 99. So play 100 to 105, right? So 4-hour top to daily top. This trading zone right here. These two candles. You want to play that. Rip there. Pretty decent move. I think Illumina, ILMN. It's ugly. Q4 EPS at 75 cents versus 49. So blowout earnings per share. Revenue 1.2 billion versus 1.13. Right. Sees forward-looking 22 adjusted EPS at $4 and 4 to 4.20 versus estimated at 4.20. Sees forward 22 revenue at 14 to 16%, which is pretty decent. It rejected its 50-day 4-hour top, came back to the mid. So from mid to top to mid, right? That's the move. We are making higher lows and higher highs, right? If we can get back above, so we gapped up, rejected the 50, gap filled it back down to the downside. On the lower end of the time frame, yeah, we have a 50-200 cross up, right? That's decent. We need to get our moving averages stacked a little bit more positively, but I think there's a move from this doji 4-hour mid, daily mid, to retest the 4-hour 50 at 370. So there's a move there, right? Like I said, there's a move. There's a little move there. I don't know if it rips out of the gate, but it's got a little bit of resistance on the way up. So we'd go hourly bottom, hourly mid, hourly top. If we can get 15 bottom, 15 mid, 15 top, right? Basically above 365, decent move looking to 370. Or you can go to 360, which is a little bit tougher. 360 to 365 to 370, okay? Dexcom, no. All right, financials. Oh my, ugh. Ugh, I'm tired for some reason. Western Union approves a new 1 billion share repurchase authorization. I like it because it says woo, but that's gonna woo rock. Let's go. Let's see what we got here. So we got a 5200 getting slingshot skis, getting ready to release, right? If you wanted to play it safe, right? If you wanted to play 15 top to 60 top, right? Let's go 1885 to 1920, right? Or 19 to 1950. There's just not a lot of meat on the bone for Western Union. All right. In energy news, the U.S. Senate committee is expected to hold a hearing around the nation's biofuel blending laws next week as the administration works to finalize controversial proposals around blending requirements and exemptions for oil refiners. According to 3 sources familiar with the matter, this was posted. This was brought to us from I can't say it. Reuters. Can't do it. Look at DAR Givo, for example. Givo, higher lows, higher highs. It's a penny stock. Maybe we'll trade it. Like I said, I'm looking for an equity trade today. Don't know if this is going to be the one though. Bloom Energy had earnings. Fourth quarter EPS lost at 5 cents versus 4-cent loss. Right. Q4 revenues at 342. They see their forward 22 adjusted gross margin roughly 24%, record ending backlog of 6,500 systems compared to 2,000 in 2020. First Energy, FE, yo, this is a fun one to trade. Maybe we can trade this one. Where's the 200? This is more like, this stock is set up a lot like everything in 2021, right? Everything was stack positive, everything was uptrending. We could definitely play 4-hour bottom, 4-hour mid, 4-hour top. However, we're starting to form a little bit of a wedge here, so I wouldn't anticipate anything greater than about 42.20 before we move back down to 41.56. There's a contracting wedge forming here. So next week, this one would be a fun one to trade. Okay. They also agreed on terms to resolve shareholder derivative litigation that stipulates 6 board members who have served on the board for a minimum of 5 years will not stand for re-election. A special committee of at least 3 recently appointed independent directors should initiate a review of the executive team and could oversee third-party audits of board-approved action plans. That means there's no trust, right? They don't trust each other. So if a company doesn't trust itself, I'm not going to trust it with my money. Okay. Pretty easy peasy lemon squeezy. Zillow Group, I can't believe we blew on this one. Yeah, about that. EPS at $1.03 loss versus $1.07. Total revenue $3.9 billion versus $2.98 billion. Right? Anything that is bigger than $1 billion revenue, I've seen the same pattern happen here. Okay. Reportable segments posted revenue that exceeded prior guidance, driven by higher than anticipated MGNs in IMT segment and lower than expected inventory losses in the home segment. Absolutely. All right. 10-cent Holdings said it has not increased its stake in Diddy since its IPO, a day after filing suggesting a raise in stake sent its shares soaring. Nope. They're like, oh no, we didn't do this. No, that's not us. That's something else. I'm not really seeing anything that we trade. Consumer news, nothing. There's just not a lot out there right now. In world news, International Energy Agency warned that the global oil price could push higher because of the OPEC supply shortage shortfall. Oh, yes. Crude is on a mission. It is on a mission. It's already up $1.20. It's a huge move for crude. Okay. Earnings before the bell. Nothing that we trade. Nothing that is like going to affect the market. The big earnings yesterday were like Affirm, right? Y'all saw this. That was all over Twitter, right? Pop, lock, and drop it. 85 to 50, $35 drop. Yeah, that's just horrible. So, y'all remember 2 weeks ago when I was like, oh, I want to trade Affirm? Well, this is what an earnings run up looks like. You run the stock up and then you pop, lock, and drop it on people at $80 a share. Down to 50. That's a pretty big pretty big drop. They're not even mentioning it in the news. Well, maybe they do. We don't have any major events today. Baker Hughes weekly rig count data is coming in at 1. But U.S. stocks are looking lower, added to the late day swoon that saw stocks finish supply sharply lower, more than 1.5% as U.S. inflation data raised bets on quicker interest rates. Rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. Treasury yields are pulling back this morning after a record surge on Thursday that saw the 10-year rise to over 15 BPS to high. 10-year rise over 15 BPS to highs above 2%, and the 2-year lift off over 25 BPS to around 1.6%. Following the CPI data on Thursday and the hawkish comments by Bullard on faster rate hikes, which exacerbated the market sell-off in the early afternoon, Goldman Sachs increased its forecast for Fed rate hikes to 7 this year. While Fed fund futures are now pricing in at least 5 rate hikes for 2022, Bloomberg News reported the U.S. Central Bank does not yet favor a half-point hike or an emergency move, which Bullard noted Wednesday was something to consider. The CME Group's FedWatch tool now suggests an 88% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike when the Fed meets next month, up from just 33% last week. St. Louis Fed President Bullard also said he wants the Fed's base lending rate to be 1% higher by June, a move that would require 3 consecutive 25 basis point increases. Despite yesterday's broad market pullback, stocks remain on track for weekly advances. Absolutely. There's 2 things I'm going to touch on after I get over through this Asian news, okay? In Asian markets, the Nikkei index gained 116 points to end the week high. Shanghai dropped 0.66, and the Hang Seng edged lower by 17 points. The DAX is down 0.4%, FTC is down 0.8%, and oil sector, we mentioned the IEA warned global oil prices could push higher because of OPEC supply shortage. Bitcoin prices slipped 0.6% to 43.5. Now, remember on Forex Factory, which is what we use for kind of like knowing what events are going to shape the market? Okay. Today is Friday. Monday is the 14th, right? This, it doesn't show it here because it's not there. The Fed has called an emergency meeting on the 14th. Yes. Fed Reserve emergency meeting. February. Closed board meeting February 14th. Okay. Review and determination by the Fed's governors of the advance and discount rates to be changed by the Fed Reserve banks. Okay, so going into this week, they had everything set. They knew what their schedule was going to be. Powell even came out and said, yeah, we know what we're doing. Chill, right? Well, something's happened in the market since then. And they're like, wait a minute. What's going on? What do we need to do? This Monday meeting, right? 11:30 Eastern is going to rock your bells. Okay, I promise you. So, with this information in mind, I don't want to be a fearmonger. Oh, sorry, Didn't mean to do that. I don't want to be a fearmonger. I don't want to be like, oh no. I'm super cash heavy. All right. Anything that is a declining asset, I'm going to kind of stay away from, which means I might hold up on options for a little bit just because they're a negative asset, which means they're losing value. After you purchase them, they start losing their value. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's get into our futures report, and then we can open up a discussion about it. Okay, so this is our futures chart. We usually go, there's the rule of thumb is the bottom row's down, the top row's up. And that's the way we like to make money. No, but really, so starting from left to right, top to bottom, ES, NQ, YM, and the Russell, right? So this is SPY, QQQ, Dow, and IWM equivalents. Bottom row would be gold, crude, bonds, and the yen. Gold is pretty easy to look at. This T-bond futures right here, this 10-year, the equivalent is TLT, and if you're looking for an equity to play off of anything, it moves in this way. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the charts now, and we'll see what's going on. It's starting to look like the forecast that we have set out. This purple line is the Fed meeting in March. There's a new meeting on Monday that, since the price action will be at, we made a lower low, right? Price action will be at a key level on Monday. That news can send us in a, we break our chop session that we have setting up here, bull flag, whatever you want to call it, and we have a true down cycle, or they continue to manipulate price action. They've kept it below the 200, right? They have kept it below the 50 for weeks now. Okay, for the entire month of February, they've kept price action below the 50-day. Okay, so what can we expect? Well, we hit the downside move. We closed below. So we did not close halfway below the 21. This is a halfway point. So this could be the beginning of the uptrend, right? Typically, a hammer is indicative of a reversal, right? So I would be willing to risk up to 4,500, potentially 4,519. Above 4,519, I think we get very bullish for a run up to retest the double top, the previous highs. If we cannot retest the 50% retracement from this high, from this high to this low, yeah, I think that looks a little bit better now, right? Keep in mind there's a little micro zone that we're in right now. If we cannot retest this 50% retracement for a breakthrough and continuation to the upside, then we would get a rejection, and we would have to really reanalyze our movement here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, just kind of ugly across the board. So let's look at the 4-hour. I mean, we were pretty dang close to the moves. Right, from high to the low, up to retest the previous high, couldn't break through it. We've got a sloping down 200-day now. We had stack positive moving averages. We were looking pretty decent. Then, right, CPI numbers came out. We had that massive sell-off. We're looking to begin recovering back up. Okay, this is today. These two 4-hour bars are today. Looking pretty decent, bringing it back down to the 30-minute. Right, just a little bounce, little bouncy bounce, little bounce up, bull flag breakout. Right, I think this was previous close. No, previous high. I forgot what the purple line is, but we do have 2150 crossed over the 200. So this is kind of bearish. We like the move where it's 2150 200. Look at that gorgeous move right there. The stacked positive moving averages are powerful. What's happening is we're trying to recurl around again, like curl around again, curl around again. So we do have that 30-minute 200 right at the 50% retracement. So 4510, 4515 is going to be pretty significant resistance. 4500 psychological. Look for a move back up through here. If we're not, we reject. Then I think we may chop along. You know, I might be willing to give us that kind of a move, right? Pretty sharp up to resistance. If we break that, we have to really reevaluate what we're looking at. Okay. All right, moving on. NQ, the tech heavy Dow or tech heavy Nasdaq. Ugh. 1, 2, 3 reversal, Wu-Tang reversal to immediate rejection, right? If we can continue to take this line, I think we should be pretty decent. Let's break it out to the daily. All right, so what do we got going on here? So far, so good, right? Down, broke the 21, rejected the 200, fell off, right? Kind of pulling back towards that 50% retracement. We've, right, from this move here, from this low to this high, we have a 618. Or we have a 618, a 50%, and a 382 retracement. So far, we've held the 382 and the 50. So I think we might get more of a kind of wedge, a little bull flag forming here. However, we failed the 200-day once, twice, right? We had a doji close above it. That was the decision-making doji. Definitely got a little bull flag forming here for sure. So we can run up to, you know, the 382, maybe retest the 21 or the 50 or the 200 here, and then pull back. I'm not seeing. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. Like, we're gonna have to give it today to kind of maybe give us a little bit more hint as to what's happening. We had a 2150. They're fighting to stay stack positive, which should pull price up with it. We've got a 45.75 initial target. Excuse me. 14,800 initial target. 14,875 above that. 15,000 psychological magnet, possibly. Really depends what happens from the next couple hours here. So far, it looks pretty bullish, right? That's what we'd like to see. We'd like to see the 1, 1, 2, 3 reversal, right? Getting long above the 2 point. Pulling back, using it as support, and then going and making new highs. We have a trading zone that we're in right now, which unfortunately, it's for us is a previous demand zone. So now it's a supply zone. There's probably a bunch of orders still sitting there that have not been filled or picked up yet. 50, 200 negative cross, not super bullish. I'm going to use this. I feel pretty confident with this trend line. I think that we can leave it up. Let me just see if I can. This fifth one over here. Here we go. A little bit more of a W than I had expected. So, all right, I'm going to go through the rest of these pretty quickly. The Dow. The Dow on the dilly dally Dow definitely had the greatest potential and still does. Rip up, pull back, rip up, right? So we've held the 200. We closed above the 21 and just barely below the 50, right? This big massive pullback yesterday. Little hammer forming so far. I think we can continue to make that move back up towards 35,381. Contrarian, we can't get over the 21, and we failed this 200. Then I think we flush pretty quickly. You know, flushed at the 618, maybe the 382. But so far the Dow has done a really good job of holding up the market. Okay. It is forming a little bit of a head and shoulders right here, so I gotta keep an eye out on the Dow for any sneakiness that it wants to provide. And looking at it on the 4-hour chart, we gave up the 200. We still have the 50. We still have the 2150 stacked, so we're looking for that 21-200 crossover, that 2150-200 crossover, right off of this 50% retracement line, right? And that's from this longer term move from high to low. This is a 50% retracement of that move. Okay, this is a 618, 50, 382. I don't know why I've got the 2-3 on here. It shouldn't be there. All right. So it's holding the 50% retracement pretty decent. It's not unusual to see stocks move between the 50 and the 618 for a little while. But what we'd like to see is at least getting above the 50-day and the 21. If we reject it, you know, we've just got to maintain the support. If this support breaks out, right? If we go below, what is it? 349.33. Right below that 349.33, then 618 retracement from this move here comes into play, as well as a possible magnet that back down to 34,484. Okay. And then the old Russell. All right, so Russell with the greatest potential, right? Looking at it on the daily, daily. Rallied up, tree line, broke it, maintained this lower bugle trend line support. We closed above the 21, double tested previous high. This tree line is holding, so we could go tree line to snow line. We got to get back above the 21. If we give up this tree line at 2039, yeah, 2040, I think we backtest 2000, rally up, pull back, rally up, get above 2052. I think we get a move back up to 2100. Okay, that's the small cap Russell. Looking at gold, daily move on gold is pretty much following in line with what we were looking for. This was the fourth move, so we're in our fifth leg on gold. I would be bullish on gold throughout today for a move up to trade out of this trading zone, so a move up to about 1846. That would finish our Elliott wave really cleanly, and then we would look at the corrective. Okay, so gold looks really good. Let's look at it on the 30-minute. It's bull flagging, trying to leave without us a little bit. Definitely appreciate the move. The 21 held the 200. We're below the 50, or excuse me, prices above the 50. Looking for that 21 to retake it, get stacked positive moving averages again, and get an additional pop. So if we are in our fifth wave, right, we would look for a move from here to, like I said, to 1849 at least, maybe 1850, and then we would start the retracement corrective, the fifth wave corrective. What are they calling it? can't remember what they call it. It's basically a corrective pattern, right? After the fifth wave, you reset. Okay. Crude is working its way up to test previous highs, 91.50, 91.70. So anything that is in the crude sector, for example, Chevron. Laz is not here, but he's always talking about Chevron. Pretty decent move. Everything kind of had an issue yesterday. Chevron especially. Let's look at XOM. All right, negatively stacked. USO. Is US oil run? Ooh. Big old morning flush. Gush. All right. That's the ETF. It just looks super choppy. Comparing that to the XLY yesterday, I did one trade in Wells Fargo. I took the 60 calls. They were pretty much in the money. I didn't take it from the open, which I should have, but I did get it on a 618 retracement. I basically broke even on it. I didn't lose money, I didn't make money, but I'll consider it a win since I was doing it on the stream. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to throw up this 2-minute chart. Now I got to wake up my chicken heads. I will be back in like 5 minutes. Dilly Daily, the Daily Dilly Dow. I love it, Killa. I got to write that down. I'm looking for t-shirt ideas for real. The Daily Dilly Dow. The Dilly Dow Dilly Daily Dow Daily Dilly Dilly Dally Day, something like that. All right. Thanks for bearing with me. Like I said, today is Lotto Friday. If you guys are interested in like a Lotto, let me know in the chat section. In the chat, leave some messages. Encourage me to give you guys some Lottos. If not, I'm going to show you some equity stocks that we can play. So far, so good. Everything looks really bullish on the 2-minute, right? Yes, these are all different sectors. This is ES, NQ, the Dilly Dally Dally. This is the Dow and the Russell. Look at the move. Tell me this is not manipulation at its finest, right? We have 21.50, 200, 21.50, 200, 20.50, 200, 21.50, 200, right? 21.50, 200. I don't have this set up here. I don't have it set up here. But look at this manipulation. These all look the same. Do they not? Yes, they do. That's so sketch. Okay. 5-minute break. Be back. We will look at some plays today. If you are interested, I gotta wake up. Sorry, I gotta wake up the fams. The famous. Seriously. Quick break. Back at 8:15. Need to wake up my demon spawns. All right, I'm back. So, did I tell you guys about my Disney story? Oh, Disney sent me a laptop. Well, so Disney wants me to do some development work for them, and I was getting everything set up, and through the millions of NDAs and a bunch of paperwork, they're like, okay, so you can VPN using your machine, but we've got to you need to give us remote access. We're going to go through your machine. I'm like, no, you're not scanning my computer. Absolutely not. I'm not, no, I do not trust like that. So they're like, okay, well, so they sent me this guy, this MacBook Pro, right, to work on. And then I go to sign up and I find out that my Disney developer ID has expired. And so it's just pointless. So I spent 4 hours trying to get it worked out just to find out my Disney developer ID was expired. So hopefully they'll reissue it this morning so I can get some stuff done. But yeah, anyway, fun story. Big old waste of my time. All right, so we went through the futures, we went through the news. We're going to get into, let's just real quick, I want to go through our bread and butter look. This is my bread and butter list. This is what I trade daily, right? This is what I trade every day of the week. You know what I think I need? Yeah, you know what? That's what we're gonna do. Let me do this. So let me get it. All right, so y'all don't need to worry about SPX. So what we're gonna do is we will do a predicted trade sponsored Lotto today. All right, so predicted trades, they just really quickly, they provide exceptionally accurate best value options strikes for entries. Okay, so for calls and puts, they give you the absolute best value that price will be at to enter into that strike. So for example, if you want to trade AMD 125s, it'll tell you the absolute best value that you can get that strike for is going to be between 22 cents and 26 cents. So what you do is you throw that option chart up, right? You mark that level. As soon as price action hits that level, you can confirm that it's a good entry, we're uptrending. Just go through your checklist and just know that that it's not going to go, shouldn't go lower than that, and that's the absolute best value based on some extreme mathematical equations. And I think that that's what the market makers use. I think they have this tool that they sit and they're like, all right, well, we're going to buy as soon as price gets to this because we know it's not going to go lower, and we know that it's got the most delta, the lowest IV, and the most open interest, and that usually stocks will rip from there. So the predicted trades tool is phenomenal. Like if you compare this with our flow index, knowing that we have divergence in square, for example, and we know that the best value that you can get for the square 115 is $1. As soon as that sucker hits $1, you can start loading the boat, throw your stop loss in there, and just know that it's not going to go lower. Okay, so we will do a predicted trade of the day. Go give them go visit them. Right, I'll give you all a link that you can use to go visit them if you're interested. They have a Discord channel that comes that you can get with your package, and the traders in there is their voice channel, and their trade group in Discord is exceptional. Right, they are extremely intelligent. They take the time to explain what's going on. Every trader in there wants everybody else to succeed, and I would highly recommend possibly going and giving it a shot. Okay, all right, so there is the link. There's a short link right here. I'll just post that as well, that you can go. That should give you the discount. It should be attached with that link as well, and we'll just hop into it. So let me figure out what looks best from a technical standpoint, what looks like it's going to at least move in the direction we would like it to, and we'll try to find a trade from there. Okay, Apple looks like it may have found a bottom, should begin its upcycle. Big old megaform possibly forming on that. AMD came back, pulled back to support. Super chopper fragilistic. Let's see what we got going on here with the Googles. Nvidia looks pretty decent, right? It held its 200. We got the 21 crossing over. We're at a mogul line. Next line up would be the fire line. So Nvidia possibly the 260s to 265s today. We'll have to look at that. SPX we don't really care about. QQQ is another one. I'm not really bullish on QQQ because we're below the 200, below the 21, below the 50 on the 30-minute. This mogul line kind of held, but we've got resistance at 359 and that 360 level again. Dang. Spizzity Spy, Snowline, Magnet 450. Immediate resistance at 452. We could look at Tesla, right? I don't like how Tesla's doing this kind of. That's not a normal pattern right there. Apple looks decent, right? Apple 175s, AMD what do we do? AMD 128s. Google, yeah. So we'll get into this. We'll figure one out. All right, FlowTrade. All right, this is the Flow Index. This is FlowTrade, right? The Flow Index or FlowTrade has created their own Flow Index. They track smart money, dark pools, block trades, large institutions, hedge funds, multi-billion-dollar transactions. They've created their own Flow Index based on all of that, and that Flow Index algorithm is a predictive leading indicator showing where price is going to go based on all of that data. Okay, they pay a lot of money for this data every month, right? To be able to create this Flow Index. It's extremely accurate, and we like to look for divergences. What a divergence means is when price is heading one direction and the Flow Index is heading another, that divergence has got to play out. So we'll find some here that has some decent divergence. Amazon, just since I have it up already, Amazon is maintaining its Flow Index support. It's also, as you can see, kind of creating a little bit of a little wedge we got going on here, right? Okay, so what we would look for in this is we would look for the Flow Index to maintain its trend line. If it breaks its trend line, it should pull price down with it. Let me see here. Let's see what we've got from like a price action trend line perspective. Kind of broke all of it, right? Kind of broke all of it. Right, we broke through it. We back tested this dark pool level, and I think we may continue to fade. But again, every time that the Flow Index is reverted, price actions came back up. Right, Flow Index reverted, price traded with it, price traded down with it, traded up with it, traded down with it, up with it, down with it, up with it. So it's tightening, right? We are at a pretty decent support 3150, right? Little micro demand zone here. We break that, we trade down, and this, right? We trade down through this zone, so the 3150 down to about, let's just call it 3100 on Amazon. Okay, so let's get into it, and let's start with IWM. I'm going to bring up the 4 chart layout so that we can just get a quick overview of the requests, and we will go from there. All right. IWM, Facebook, Micron, and Datadog. All right, so I think that works. All right, good morning, Andrea, Killer, Johnny, Michael, Terry, Serenity, Billy, Pete. What's up, Pete? Johnny, what's up, Watchlist? And what's up, I think we got everybody. Good morning to everyone. Okay, IWM, we do have some bullish divergence. It came in, filled these. Let me just bring this up a little bit bigger so y'all can see what I'm talking about here. All right, if we look from a dark pulse perspective of the last 3 days, see those two white little dots right there? Those are block trades that had not been filled because they came in when price is up here. So these block trades right here came in yesterday after the close at 202.85. Or no, so they came in yesterday at 340, right? They basically came in. So those block trades came in, price was well above it, and what happened? It acted as a magnet. Price action came down, it's filled those block orders, it's backfilled the gap. Now the flow index is making higher lows and higher highs. We can look for that green, so we can look for that bullish divergence occurring in IWM. When did it occur? It occurred probably, I mean, really 205, to be honest with you. Well, I mean, 206.50 is where that divergence possibly occurred at. And if you, hopefully y'all can see it. So we have the flow index heading in one direction, right? We have price action heading in another direction. So that divergence, where does that divergence occur? At approximately this level here. So let's just call it 20. That's a tough one. 205.73. Okay, looking at it on the 1 minute chart. A little easier to spot, right? Remember I said about these little dots? We got block trades up here at 206.68 that have not been filled yet. These came in on the 10th at 1630, right? Which is 1630 is obviously 430. So those came in after the close. So bullish divergence. If we can break trendline resistance right here, kind of break out of that downtrending resistance, I think we can move back up to where this divergence occurred at approximately 206. Now, going to form an inverted head and shoulders, so maybe we get a little pop and a pullback, and then we get that rip, or we reject this trend line and we continue to move down. Divergence doesn't have to play out immediately, but it will play out. So, for example, we had bearish divergence here. At this point, yeah, bearish divergence occurred here, played out. All right, that's IWM. I like the way that it's moving, right? Also like the Russell for, like I said, move on small caps. Okay. All right, next up on the list was Facebook. And Facebook's got a couple, well, maybe not. So Facebook is trading with the flow index, right? There's no significant larger divergences that are really helping out. Trading with price actions trading with the flow index, right? And we start reversing. There is a downside gap to fill. I don't know if we have to do that first or not, or if we do 1, 2, 3. I would look Facebook long above 230 for a move up to 240, right? So above 230, 235, 240. If we reject, if we break down below 226, I think we back test 224 and then gap fill down to 220. Flow index is currently trading with flow index, so or price action is currently trading with flow index, so it's not like, oh hey, here's super divergence, let me guide you away. Bearish divergence played out. It's making a series of lower lows and lower highs. Look at what happens when the flow index touches one of these either dark bull or regular block levels, right? It interacts with it. So it hit this one, rallied up to this one, support, resistance, support, broke, right? broke support, came back down to previous level of support. Flow index may go up to about 226, but it is definitely downtrending, trading with price action. Downside target 224, 225, and 226. Let me see if I can show you that overhead resistance. Right. So do we reject the overhead resistance? Right. Rally up, reject it, come back down, break at 228. I think we backtest 227.50, 226, below 226. Pretty big move below 226. Okay, that is the Facebook. And then what else do we got? Micron. All right, what's going on with Micron? All right, we have bearish divergence that's basically occurred. All right. It's pretty nasty, actually. 15-minute chart. Look for a gap backfill to 89, 88. Looks like there's definitely some divergence at 83. We have divergence here. So we have divergence at 88 that will need to be played out. Possible divergence all the way back down to 84. If we reject this dark pool level at 81, or excuse me, 91, then I think 89 is definitely a magnet. So that came in on the 10th at the bell. All right, so this regular block here, right? This regular block here has not been filled yet. So they placed a regular block order for $89.10 at 9:31 on the yesterday, right? Well, obviously we had gapped up above it, so as a magnet, it's going to pull it back to it. Make sense? That's why it's important to kind of look at the block levels and see what time and where they came in from. All right. Oh, it came in on the 9th, so that already got filled. So this buy order, sell order, yeah. So I think we continue to pull back on Micron. Okay. Next up, we have Datadog. Datadog was one of my favorite ones going into this week, just because it looked really, really decent. All right, so the flow index. Definitely, let's see what do we do here. Did they have earnings? Something like that? Anyway, big gap up. Dark pool support broke. Coming back down. Got a regular block that came in yesterday at the open. So this regular block appears here. Price had already gapped up above it, right? Magnet back down to it, 170. If there's a bunch of sell orders in there, so if everybody's like, oh yeah, I own a bunch of stock, I want to sell it at 170, right? Or I think it's a good value at 170. We will see if price rejects this level and continues up, then we can look at possibly the 170. 75s, 178s, or 180s. But if it breaks this level, then I think we back test 160, 155. There's a couple dark pools in here that looks like they've already been filled. Okay. All right, that's Datadog. Flow index is trading pretty much with price in a giant broadening pattern. Right? Big giant broadening pattern there. Okay. What's next on the list? We've got Jpmorgan. Yeah, I'll check out Jpmorgan. So I want you to understand that Traditics data algorithm is different than the flow index. Traditics tracks options contracts specifically, right? They don't track transactional, right? So it's two completely different algorithms. Okay. So we have a dark pool level here that came in after the close. The flow index was pointing up at that time. It was trying to make higher highs and higher lows. So inflation, like higher interest rates are definitely good for banks. I would say if it can break its overhead resistance, right? It's pretty long-term overhead resistance. So it'll either break through this, back test this dark pool. Flow index is definitely above price action currently. That regular block trade looks like it's already been filled. Got a couple dark pools in here. Trying to see if any of these came in and had not been filled yet. $210. Okay, so basically if we can't hold 150, what is that, 159? 150. Let's try this again, 156. If we can't hold 156, then I think we come back and back test, make lower low. However, I think that we can get pulled through this dark pool at 156.96 and look to target so the 15-minute has us definitely creating a wedge, right? Flow index has made higher lows, right? Made a higher high, higher low, lower high. Definitely squeezing there. There is a gap that needs to be filled to the downside. Lots of overhead resistance. If we can't break up above 156, I think 154.98. If the flow index does not break out of its wedge, then we'll continue to pull price back down to 153. Contrarian, the flow index comes and makes a higher low. It could pull price action up with it. I think on this one, I think we get a little bit of a, just it really does depend on what happens over the next couple candles. Let me just show you this wedge. There will be a decision soon. Every time the flow index came up, price action came up. So if price action is trading with the flow index, this isn't a real easy pattern to tell. This is a little demand zone. If we break down through it, we gap fill to the downside. We could very easily chop here the next little while. All right, what's next? I guess we'll look at SPY. The difference between Traditics and the flow index. Traditics tracks options contracts, right? They're specific to options. Meaning that if somebody buys a bunch of calls, right, and doesn't sell a bunch of puts, that the data is going to be skewed to the bullish side. Okay, they're an options flow algorithm, meaning they only track options contract purchases. Okay, the flow index tracks transactions from large institutions, smart monies, dark pools, block trades, hedge funds. Yeah, so I guess the difference is one tracks money, right? And one tracks options data. Options data is by nature a negative decreasing what's the word just slipped my mind. It's a decreasing asset, right? So if you see if you see millions of dollars going in to a put that's 2 deviations away, hold on. Oh, nice, sweet. Sorry. So yeah, there's a major difference between like an equity, right, which is an equity, and a depreciating asset, because options are by nature depreciating assets. So tracking all of the calls versus all of the puts, right, is, and I don't know how he's done his algorithm, but I do know that it's options specific. I've done that much research on it. Okay. The SPY. So the SPY. So we came down, we gobbled up this dark pool level that came in on the close, right, on the 8th. So just so that you can see how important these little dots are, check it. We have a dark pool level that printed on February 8th at the close, which is where my cursor is right now. Okay. So we had gapped up and there's just this contract there. There's this order sitting down here for millions of dollars. Well, price is going to come down and snatch up that order. It wicked up off of it this morning or yesterday. At the close, it came and filled that order. Right, this order was placed on 2/8 at 1600. This order finally got some attention to it on February 10th at 1600. 2 days later, price action came down and gobbled up this contract. So I'm looking for these levels, and they're very important to see what's going on with price and where price is at. So if price is way up here and we get a dark pool order that comes in at 450 and we're trading at 455, this order is going to be filled at some point. I went into this a couple weeks ago on how to see how prices act, or the dark pools and regular blocks will act as a magnet for price. Well, it's true. Back here's where it happened. 471. I remember that level. Let's see if I can go back in time far enough. I don't think I'm going to be able to. But so basically what happened is price was way down here and a bunch of blocks had printed, $10 above it. And I was like, why are those blocks just sitting there? Well, what happened was it pulled price action up with it. So if we can ever catch that moment in time where we get a sneak peek into what's happening, right? There's a dark pool right here. We know that it's going to come down and test 447. I don't think it's filled it yet, so we may get some wicks down to 447 on the SPY. Let's see. Yeah, so we filled it pre-market, right? All right. Let me look, and I will give you guys a Lotto for today, okay? Tesla's not moving the way that Tesla normally does. Let's look at Google, okay? We'll give you on Google. Sweet. Give me 1 second here. All right, here is, I just got a new link for y'all for predicted trades. Here, use this link. Which one do I think is more accurate? Oh, Flow Index. Absolutely. Flow Index is way more accurate. You're tracking actual money into an equity, not. So options contracts are built off of equity pricing. So why not track the transactions for the equity instead of, right? Instead of options. I know that there's a school of thought that's like, follow what options money is doing. Well, that's great, but you should follow what smart money is doing, right? Because that smart money is what makes the options pricing, right? It creates the formula for the option to create the price off of. Anyway, yeah, Flow Index is way more accurate. And I mean, you could. We'll just leave that. I don't want to go into it. So I just sent you the new link for the predicted trades. 10% off. You're gonna use this guy here. That's it. That is our affiliate link. We are super excited about that. Yes, we are. Okay, so let's look at. I'm gonna look at the Google 28. Hold on, let me see where we're gonna go. All right, let's look at these, shall we? All right. I'm hurrying. I'm just trying to find the right contracts. I want to look at the NVIDIA 265. All right. Ooh. Okay, here is a Lotto. This is a good Lotto too. Okay, so again, this Lotto is sponsored by Predicted Trades. We're going to be looking at NVIDIA. Okay. So NVIDIA has made higher lows and higher highs. We have stacked positive moving averages. We are at the 4-hour mid. We would look to 4-hour top, right? daily cloud top to retest the 50. Okay, double green. Should be getting a little bit of a slingshot squeeze. We have earnings coming up next week, right? We've made a series of higher lows and higher highs. Here is the lottery trade. Notice that it's not today's expiration, it's next week's. Okay, the 270 calls enter anywhere between 75 cents and 94 cents. You can exit at 850, 886, 952, 952, and 1114. Okay, that's your upside play. Okay, just look at this again real quick. Let me grab you a downside one. Okay, here is the downside play. This is if NVIDIA cannot maintain its uptrend and starts breaking some key levels. All right, let's do this. Okay, y'all can see that now, right? All right, the NVIDIA 270 call, entry anywhere from 74 cents to 94 cents, okay? So what we look for is we look for some pullbacks, right? As we're pulling back, if we come to key levels of support, we would look to see if that 270 call option is worth 75 to 94 cents, and that's when we would get in. We would look to exit at 850, 886, 9. This is, you know, these are 1,000% gainers here, right? The other one would be the NVIDIA 250 put. I would look to take this if NVIDIA cannot clear or maintain 257, or if it breaks down below 255. 250 would be incoming pretty quickly, and that would look like any sort of a major rally close to exhaustion. If the market starts heading down, we'd look for it to get into those contracts there, okay? None of this is financial advice. Do your own due diligence, but there's 2,000% gainer plays that I've given you. Thanks. Shout out to Predicted Trades. If you take this trade, tag me in Twitter, and I will make sure that you get noticed by that group, and we'll shower you with lots of attention. Okay. All right, that's it. Gotta go. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dark Pool Algo. We'll see you all tomorrow on our weekly watch list recap. I'll be doing the recap video and this week's watch list. Probably should have done a midweek recap, but I just didn't do it. Okay. Screenshot that. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hit me up in the group. I'm going to